J Squad family and a friend are taking an Uber ride from a party to a hotel. The driver slowly starts to make him feel very uncomfortable, so his friend begins recording the interaction for both evidence and their personal safety. The driver asks about J Squad's girlfriend and makes other weird personal comments throughout the conversation, like this one for example.
But you're not the word that they said. You're so much more than that. Yeah, thank you. You're so welcome.
J Squad isn't sure what to say, so he just kind of goes along. That is, until the driver stops following the GPS instructions and goes in the completely wrong direction.
Do you think you should turn to... Yeah, probably should. Oh my god. I knew I was gonna... Well, good. Thank you.
He promises to get J Squad back to his hotel, but there's something in his voice that I find very insincere and maybe even slightly menacing. Eventually, the friend in the backseat nervously says,
Anyways, I'm so tired. Yeah.
I'm so tethered, which I think means that he feels so trapped right now. J Squad nods in silent agreement. The driver does not pick up on any of this and keeps talking. Eventually, the driver gets noticeably perturbed, and he stops talking to them completely for a while.
Listen to the radio.
His music selection sounds like something Norman Bates would choose and only serves to creep them out even more. Then, without warning, he makes a startling demand.
Guys, feel free to sing along. Keep that camera on too.
At this point, he has noticed the camera and sarcastically tells them to keep recording. J Squad quickly tells him to pull over at a random street and they get out safely. Who knows what would have happened to them if they didn't have the quick wits to start recording the situation. While streaming live at a New Orleans graveyard at night on February 8th, 2020, Franco TV encounters not the undead, but the living. In the beginning, he describes his first encounter with a man in the graveyard, explaining that he'd been warned that thieves in New Orleans like to come after people who explore the city's graveyards at night. He said he'd encountered this man twice already in this episode, explaining that the man was on foot, had a book bag and approached him, passed him, and then circled around while he was outside of his car walking through the mausoleum. He feels a bit shaky from this encounter and says he doesn't know if he's going to exit his vehicle again, but he follows his audience's risky advice and does anyway. As Franco is out, walking around the creepy stone grave solo, he starts to feel unsafe again, and after a time returns to his car. He is examining an above-ground crypt from his vehicle when he hears some footsteps. He continues to drive around the cemetery, saying he heard something from behind his car that sounded like a knocking. He says he can't get out of his car again because he thinks someone else is there. In fact, there he is. After turning around, Franco zooms in on a man walking toward him down the cemetery road. What is this man doing in a graveyard at night? Is he too live streaming for YouTube? It certainly doesn't look like it. Franco doesn't know what to do but continued to drive, passing the guy seemingly without issue. He speeds up, getting out of the graveyard as quickly as possible. As he tries to find the exit, he says the man was literally chasing after his car. He says he felt the man hit the back of it, and as he flees, explains that he must get out of there and find a safe place. He then warns viewers not to enter a New Orleans graveyard at night, as if we needed any warning after watching this. The world's oceans hold both wonders and terrors. People got a glimpse of an example of such mysteries on November 11th, 2007, 7,800 feet down the Gulf of Mexico. The Perdido oil drilling site sent a camera down for a routine inspection when it caught something unexpected. A bizarre creature swam only a few feet away from the rig, sporting unfathomable features. By far the most eye-catching of them were its long tentacles reaching far down below its body. It almost appears to be looking right at the camera, staring and observing just as being observed. Many commenters have likened it to an alien, with some even joking it is an offspring of Cthulhu. The truth is, thankfully, more simple and far less scary. What was actually filmed is known as a big fin squid. a relatively newly discovered species. It was first documented in September 1988 off the coast of Brazil. Due to the depth at which it lives, sightings are rare, and there is still much about it left to be discovered. In fact, it is still unknown how these animals feed, but it is believed they use their long tentacles to drag against the seafloor to catch organisms to feed off. It is also believed they wait for small plankton to bump into them to eat. Such creatures make stories of sea monsters from folklore make much more sense. For centuries, the idea of the giant squid was a myth until it was proven as a real species, with larger, colossal squid also discovered. With an estimated 80% of the ocean left unexplored, there's bound to be thousands or millions more discoveries of all sorts of odd yet magnificent species out there. This moment is now infamous in the streaming community and has been talked about years ago on Top 15s, but for those who weren't aware, Zillion OP, who streamed on Twitch, appeared to be paraplegic and enabled his viewers to donate money to him. But in April 2013, generous donors and viewers alike got the shock of their lives when this gamer stood from his wheelchair, likely forgetting that he was streaming. Most had believed the gamer to be completely immobile, according to what they'd seen on prior streams. Needless to say, viewers turned on him and were rightfully angry about being misled. Zillion's girlfriend can be heard in the video when she realizes and begins rambling with a random story about taking their dogs to the fish shop, whatever that is.
Our dog, oh my god, we took our dog, to the fish shop today.
She continues talking as somebody, likely Zillion, turns the camera downward. Both Zillion OP and his girlfriend had their accounts closed for violating Twitch's terms of service. When the website Kotaku requested a statement from Twitch, they went on to say that subscribers would be given refunds. Skiers beware. Sometimes the snowbank is deeper than it appears. Posted to Instagram by Chris J. Fish. This GoPro video shows viewers what it's like to avalanche yourself. The skier is seen traveling over a snowy hill between two trees followed by some rocky crags. After overtaking the rocks, he immediately drops feet down into the snow. He is seen frantically trying to dig himself out. After what seems like an eternity, he spots a glimmer of sky above, as someone on the surface is also digging frantically to pull him to safety. Chris says this is the first time he's been completely buried. He writes in the comments, "I started to panic a bit as soon as I inhaled a whole bunch of snow. My entire throat and mouth were full and definitely had a bit in my lungs." He goes on to explain that his friend was staged nearby to rescue him if this happened, which anyone who's skiing across unknown territory should do. Did this scary event stop him from future skiing? Nope. He writes that as soon as his breathing returned, he was off again. Chris asked if we would include this PSA. He writes, "The rule to dropping from big cliffs into bottomless powder. Have someone close by to dig you out if you get buried." I'm thinking I'll stick to the bunny hill. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Kane Sweet 2000. This Redditor wrote, "Hi all, we moved into a council house since January, and we had some very strange things happening. We have a vintage radio and it has been making some strange noises. The weird thing is there isn't any batteries inside it. Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about."
Fish?
There was certainly some debate about this video in the comments. Lechiflada wrote, "That's really strange." Well, GameCat UK wrote, "Where is the radio in the video? Do you have a picture? I have a feeling it's a rare example of an old semiconductor picking up on local radio waves, though the amplification is baffling. I think the radio is that thing in the bottom left corner at the 5-second mark. Which side are you on here? Let me know in the comments. This one looks straight out of a horror movie, posted by Wet Tent YT to the Chills Narrator subreddit and originally published to YouTube in September of 2020. This is an urban exploring adventure turned into a nightmare. The uploader explains that this is a follow-up to a recent video he posted. He came across several tunnels after leaving an abandoned garage, and in these tunnels he encountered a figure he'd seen at the last location. These videos were filmed within hours of each other and showcase a strange person or figure that followed me while exploring. If you looked closely, it seemed to have an axe, and its eyes also looked like they were sort of glowing. In the video, after wandering down a tunnel, the uploader hears something. He sets his camera down on the ground in the tunnel facing the exit. That's when the aforementioned figure is captured, pounding on the roof of the tunnel with what appears to be an axe. Meanwhile, the uploader races down the adjacent tunnel, and when the Axeman leaves, retrieves his camera from the ground and races back towards where the Axeman exited, shouting, "Who are you?" No response. He should probably be grateful about that. A man named Dubai7 talks to himself while returning to the home he was chased out of to get some supplies. He is trying to grab this container when he is found and cornered. The door slams behind him and he runs away. As he is looking into the room he just escaped from, a different door slams shut. And no one is inside the room when he checks. On his way out, he sees what I assume is his old cat watching him. The poor animal is too afraid to come near. It jumps away moments before something unseen chases him out the door. Now outside, he looks over just in time to see the window shutters open and close by themselves way too deliberately to be caused by the wind. These flats are supposed to be abandoned, so who is in this window? Posted to TikTok by Scared to Death Zero, this crew is looking around an abandoned encampment at night when they see movement in one of the upper windows. Zooming in, there's no one there, but then they move their flashlight from the window, and the figure again peeks out from behind a curtain. Many in the comments are completely freaked out, while some think it's a squatter, others are not so sure. They say it has no face. What is this thing? Would you try to find out? This house guest is eternal. Published by Jojo Owens in February of 2022. Jojo explains that he, his wife, and several guests in his home had witnessed a shadow-like movement in the living room out of the corner of their eyes. That's why when Owens heard a noise in the back room one night while his wife was sleeping, he set up his phone camera to record. This is what he captured. A tall, shadowy figure is seen moving across the lit doorway at the end of the room. After witnessing this, Owens grabbed his phone camera to investigate, but turned up nothing. Neither was there anything in the room that might cast this shadow. Although one commenter suggested that there may be someone squatting in the Owens home, Owens said this has been going on for 3 years, so it's highly unlikely. To whom does this shadow belong then? While staying at a haunted hotel, Chelsea Luna and her crew find that they are cursed. First, they hear it.
You guys, I'm being quiet so that you can pick up any voices. What was that?
Then they see it.
Dude, what the They say that they hear them clashing.
What the
That's so weird. What is that? James,
What?
I keep hearing something down there. Is there a spirit here?
Then they feel it.
Somebody over there? What the heck? Somebody over there. Is anyone in there? There's no way. They can't get past all this.
And they always sense it.
Something just moved over here. Like, sounded like something shifty is going on over there or something.
As the spirit gets more riled, they become more cautious.
Okay, so this just looks like a home. Whoa, whoa! Is there something in there? What's that?
But it's like they're chasing a ghost. Chelsea explains what happened further.
I started hearing these whispers, and like a bunch of stuff started like hitting around downstairs, like in the kitchen area. It freaked me out. I wasn't recording at the time. I was sitting at my live stream, and I'm like, what in the...
They then hear an animalistic growl. Listen closely.
Is there somebody there?
Though they continue to investigate, they have no idea what is in the room with them.
There's nobody over there though. Get James, we can't be in here. What is that?
This compelling footage leaves me to believe that there really is something haunting this hotel. Are apps the best method by which to gauge the paranormal around us? Published by QTube in August of 2021. These guys are freaking out after seeing something sitting in a chair in their home via an app filter. They note that another chair nearby looks completely normal, but when scanning the chair next to it with the filter, it's red hot with energy.
And this chair isn't.
Look, this one's fine, but you can go on this chair. Someone is sitting on this chair, guys.
They're sure that someone is sitting in this chair. Is technology finally allowing us to engage with the invisible energies around us, or is the filter just glitching? I think they should try using a thermal camera in this room. It might just reveal more than what we saw here. Urban explorers Stacy and Cliff are exploring the abandoned Bryce Hospital, an Alabama asylum that is haunted as can be. Little do they know a shadow person is following them all the while and can be seen caught on video multiple times. When they first enter the building, a paranormal presence compels Stacy to not only look to her left, but to call out as well.
Hello?
A partially hidden shadow figure stands in the doorway. As soon as she says hello, the screen blurs like movement is near. She feels the need to look again, but this time the mysterious shadow figure is gone. On a different floor, they see a strange passing shadow move across the doorway, though this bizarre movement could simply be a trick of the light and not necessarily paranormal. With that said, a few minutes later is when they see the shadow figure one final time, a ghost in the doorway watching them without a word, and as Stacy turns around, the shadowy figure smooths out and mysteriously disappears. They finish exploring the hospital without another mysterious figure sighting. If you fear snakes, you might want to hide under the covers for this one. YouTuber Falcon X-Ray published this footage in November of 2015 with the description, "Just started cleaning the pool for summer, came home and found a snake having a swim cooling down from the heat. The snake looks to be about 4 feet long and is quite thick. The snake is shown circling the pool's edge, probably trying to find its way out. Once or twice it does creep its head up the wall of the pool, but it doesn't make it very far. While the snake's slithering movements in the water are creepy enough, one wonders if this breed is poisonous. What kind of snake is it, whatever the monster is?" The uploader said that he built a cage and kept it. Don't know if I'd want to keep that thing in my home, but I'm sure he's happy with his new pet. While exploring a 16th century cemetery in Cornwall, YouTuber Ghost Adventures of Cornwall captured 2 apparitions in Tudor period clothing. Can you make them out? I can, and they're giving me the chills. A Twitter user named Kazuki Sake is visiting a graveyard in Japan when he claims this pebble broke off a statue and went into a frenzy. Try and translate this part into English if you can.
いやだって今石だったんだべ。せいでね、多分持ったやつ。
So what do you think is going on here? This could be an actual ghost, CGI, or maybe even just a pebble on a string. Is this a ghost or just the cold? Posted to the r/chills narrator subreddit by Louis D Vlogs X. This scary video was filmed in a cemetery during a live stream. The video shows old tombstones scattered throughout the graveyard. As the camera pans around, that's when you see it.
Like level out. Does it take ages for the grass to settle?
A semi-transparent figure appears to walk across the screen from right to left. It's so quick that it's difficult to tell what you're looking at. The camera then lands on one of the living crew, and it doesn't seem as though any of them saw this figure in the moment. Some in the comments think it's the cold breath of the crew member that you see moments later, but it certainly looks more solid than a breath in cold air. What do you think? I think some spirits are quite active at this graveyard. A warehouse worker gets wrapped up in some wires and stumbles. His grip loosens at the scariest moment, and he almost dumps a heavy ladder on the head of a person who is looking down on their phone. He doesn't really get out of the way in time, but the ladder turns in midair and thankfully misses him. Ironically, the person was on their phone trying to program the very same security system, which caught his near demise on camera. I'm really glad he's okay, because he was not wearing a helmet and would have gotten seriously messed up. Think you have creepy neighbors? Think again. Posted to the WTF subreddit, Protomancer writes, "Just someone slithering through my neighbor's yard in the middle of the night." That description about sums this clip up, but let's take a look at the Nest camera footage. A stranger is seen lying on its stomach on the ground outside this person's home. After a moment, he starts moving in what is well described as a slither. He could actually be crawling, with the camera distorting the movements into something even creepier. Not that army crawling across your neighbor's yard is normal at all. Well, some Redditors think the dude is just playing night crawlers. Others think the guy is on something. One Redditor, however, shares another possible theory from first-hand experience. Chordophonic writes, "Quite a few years ago I had something similar happen, though I was several lawns away. The dude finally stopped on my lawn and we called 911 because he'd been caught with some other dude's wife, and it turns out her husband put a round in this guy. I kind of hope it's one of the first two scenarios here." Former President Barack Obama once had a Secret Service agent protecting him who has since become the center of many eerie rumors and unsettling theories found online. This video shows the agent standing a few rows into a crowd during one of Obama's speeches. The agent is very broad, but his head and neck are far narrower and more angular than his wide shoulders or body. He also repeats the same set of odd movements over and over again. The agent behind him does not, but it's this far shot that has raised the most questions. The nose, jaw, and chin all appear to be the same length. The brow is set far back, and the eyes are way down by the neckline, while the crown of the head and the occipital bone are disproportionately enlarged. I think it's hard to say for sure in both videos because of the distance. If we get a third video that was closer and more detailed, then a more accurate determination could be made. However, I don't believe this mysterious agent was ever spotted again. Here, 8 Booth jumps from 129 feet in the air. If any part of his body had so much as graced the pier, then that would have been the end of 8 Booth, and that's assuming that he could have gotten out of the water in time. While walking down an empty street at night, this man encountered not one but 3 witches. Posted to the very spooky video subreddit by Enrique Glue, he hears them before he sees them. The witches are making these horror movie noises that are creepy in and of themselves. As he walks, he spies this figure off to his right. He then makes a run for it, but their scary wails follow him. Next, he spies this figure to the left. He continues running as the screaming gets crazier. And lastly, another figure in white coming from this alleyway to the right. Many in the comments think the noise sounds like cats or an upset husky. Others say this is obviously the call for the witch meeting. What do you think is happening here? I can't imagine it's anything good. Would you get on a small wooden boat in a murky pond full of alligators? YouTube channel The Omar Gosh Vlogs dives right in this scary video. Can you see the gator in the water, drifting toward them? You might think these folks landed in gator territory by accident, but it looks like this is actually something people pay to do. The gators look like they could chomp them at any moment. In fact, the group is sandwiched in between them.
Look at these guys here. They're so crazy to get followed by an alligator.
Break it in half, George. Break it in half.
Oh my God.
What do you think? Would you pay money to be gator bait? Me neither. This YouTuber works security at a building that's so haunted, he can't even get past to the elevator without scary stuff happening. It's gotten to the point where he records anywhere he goes because the place is seriously that haunted by paranormal poltergeist activity everywhere. The building has a nice gym room, for example, but it seems the equipment is always in use one way or another. Weird things are always caught on camera moving around on their own when he's out of arm's length.
Para darles una sorpresa a ver cuando vengan, que no saben que estoy aquí. ¡Hostias!
But it is perhaps this haunted playroom area that sees the most paranormal activity of all. So that's a lot of freaky stuff to have happened, but he's been making videos for years, and I've saved the absolute scariest video for last. You're not going to believe this one because it's that beyond creepy. He lives alone and hears the voices of a family coming from his room. When he calls into the darkness, he is answered by the shadow person sighting. The dark outline of a shadow moving in the small amounts of light coming through a crack in the door.
Hostia, la luz.
There's no doubt that somebody was in there with him, but was it planned, or was it a real ghost sighting caught on video? I think when you look at all of the paranormal video evidence caught on tape, you'll conclude that this place is really haunted. He could be faking it, but I don't really see how. Also, with barely any views on his videos, I don't see why he would continue for years on end unless it was really happening to him. A Swedish YouTuber named Headgear, aka Daniel Olsen, has a paranormal corner of their home that always seems to be shuffling objects around. All Daniel has to do is set up a camera and wait. So everything from a phone to a baby monitor is making small movements one after the other. Most of the objects are already halfway off camera though, so therefore moving them wouldn't be that hard to fake. If that blue box moved in the back, I would be more convinced. Also, the fact that nothing on the top shelf moves makes me all the more suspicious. But hey, I guess the poltergeist could have just been interested in the bottom row. I wish he got more of the bottom area to show he wasn't moving stuff around himself, but to be fair, I think Daniel was also trying to get the mirror in the shot. Based on this next video I'm about to show you, at 5 seconds something smacks his camera, yet we see nothing in the mirror. Then this strange shadow makes barely discernible movements in the upper corner of the room, hardly visible unless you know where to look, and even then still fairly difficult to see. Mustafa Sven is one of the very few brave paranormal exploration channels from Iraq, and he is definitely one of the best. Let's check out a 24-hour challenge he took at a scary haunted abandoned house that he's always been afraid to go exploring. It isn't long until paranormal entities come wailing for him, and all of the creepiness is caught on video with 2 different cameras. It starts with little things that are quite weird, like a shadow moving strangely in the hall behind him. I mean, yeah, I guess it could just be his hand, but the shadow doesn't exactly follow his movements, and I don't know, the angles just don't match up. Then, shortly after the spooky shadow passes by, more weird things are caught on camera. The backpack is actually very well balanced and should not tip over, and it bothers him that it does. He tries to recreate the situation and cannot. Scary noises aside, the backpack is far from the only objects caught on camera moving by itself on this haunted night. A stone silently dislodges from the mantelpiece and crashes to the ground, followed by another one. The poltergeist is pulling this house apart brick by brick, willing to do whatever it takes to scare this ghost hunter away. A padlock bounces on its own like a ghost is trying to open the door. Watch closely and tell me if you think this is a poltergeist or someone on the other end of the door poking through the crack with a stick. But just when I was beginning to think this video might not be paranormal, it becomes one of the creepiest videos I've seen in a long time. A rising wail of spirits closing in makes him realize this 24-hour challenge needs to be cut about 20 hours short, and so he finally leaves. When you visit a place that's notoriously haunted, don't expect to be disappointed. Posted to YouTube by Corndictive, the uploader writes of this clip, "Watch the very top window of the house. That flash didn't happen when we were taping this, and none of us know what it is. There were no cars out when this happened. The top window in question is that of the Glenmore Mansion. This clip necessitates a little background on this spooky place. As it turns out, many of the historical sites of Jefferson County, Tennessee are crazy haunted. Glenmore Mansion was built in 1799. It belonged to a family for a century and was later bought up by Mr. Milton Preston Jarnigan, who named the house after his first son who passed away as an infant. The home was in the Jarnigan family for a further century. Over the course of more than 2 centuries, passing in this old home were bound to occur, resulting in the haunting of these hallowed grounds. According to some legends, the house is like an Escher drawing in that the exterior windows are more in number than the interior windows. Others also suggest the home's height changes, although some say the mega mansion has 15 rooms across 5 stories, with other sites reporting there are 27 rooms. When the mansion falls dark, visitors claim there's a presence roaming around the home, but don't worry, the presence is benevolent. Some believe it to be the ghost of a local historian, Thomas Roach. When alive, Roach claimed that if ever a ghost was found there, it would be him. But one of the creepiest sightings happened outside the mansion altogether. A young girl is often seen walking along the estate's road at night in the darkness. From unexplained sounds to shadows in the mirrors, the mansion has had its fair share of ghastly ghosts. Tours of the home are routine, but once the lights are out and the house has been abandoned for the night, some say a light turns on in the attic. This Victorian gem of a house seems so perfectly cookie cutter that it's the perfect place for a haunting, and the unsettling nature of the home is confirmed by this video. The crew focuses in on an upstairs window where they see lights or a flash of white and something moving inside. Can you spot it? Whether you believe in ghosts or not, you probably wouldn't want to be in Glenmore Mansion when the lights turned on. A YouTuber named Aeromax Music has to walk down the seedy hallway late at night, 6 days a week to get to his apartment. It always gives him a terribly dreadful feeling, so this time he records himself to feel a little safer. The entire time a neighbor is playing some creepy dance music that has a heartbeat and bass turned up loud enough to make the walls shake. You can't hear anything else. And that's precisely why this next part is so scary. Despite the loud music, a woman's frantic laughter is heard next to him in the empty hallway. At this exact moment, a visual disturbance appears in the bottom corner for only a few frames and disappears. Could this be his thumb? When he gets onto the elevator, the music stops and a weird noise can be heard. Is this a creaky gear or a disembodied moan? Basically, do you think these occurrences are all in his head, or is this a hallway that's truly haunted? This old VHS footage was taken by construction workers during an interior renovation project in Corpus Christi, Texas. It's daytime and well lit, and the building still has a constant eerie vibe. They claim to have seen the ghost of a girl walking across the property, and the air grew cold around them, even though they are in the south. One of them records this mysterious noise coming from the hallway. It sounds like a moan from behind. Take a listen. He calls out for his friend Tom and picks up a strange whispering noise as he turns.
Hey, Tom!
He pauses outside of an especially dark room and feels watched by a presence within, a force that strips him of his bravery and leaves him small and vulnerable. He sees movements and bolts down the hall. I think I can see the outline of something in the corner here when the room is brightened. Could this be the ghost girl they were talking about? He decides to take one last look in the room and cautiously peeks inside. Rushing footsteps come from within and send him screaming off the job site. A live streamer named Lothar is in the middle of playing Hearthstone when he suddenly starts acting out of sorts. If you pay close attention to his face, you can see that he is clearly feeling some discomfort. He takes his headset off and tries to regain control over himself, but to no avail. and his wife finds him there. She tries to get him to come to his senses. Here is a brief excerpt of the call. I don't speak the language, but common sense gives me some idea of what she is saying. Still, any translations are appreciated.
Nie, ale tak wyglądało. Myślałam, że się czymś... Słucham? Tak, ale myślałam, że się czymś zadławił.
In case anyone is wondering, Lothar spent about a week recovering, but this has not happened since. A small bluish figure briefly hovers outside of a home before disappearing out of sight. It's hard to say what this is, or even how close the object even was. On one hand, it looks like it could just be a strand of hair, but the way it hangs around for so long is quite strange. This object was also somehow able to activate the doorbell cam, so it must have had some mass to do it. The person who uploaded this video claims that it's a ghost, but let me know what you think this mysterious object is. Even with video evidence, I still can't fully tell. This farmhouse has a paranormal feeling. Published by Ouija Brothers. The brothers are filming when one feels the hanging wallpaper move a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of moved in the LP.
Did you touch it?
I didn't touch it, I didn't move, I was a bit this close away.
I did feel some cold coming though.
Not long after, a strange noise is heard. A second clip taken by the cameraman captures the sound again from a different angle. It clearly wasn't him making the sound.
Okay. That? Is that you?
I think it's the floor.
I was like someone got a marble and rolled it. Hey? Is that you?
I think it's the floor.
Later, they hear a knock and then a creepy voice. They find a cat in the house, and then again outside. While the cat is cute and all, the house holds other creatures as well. These ones, not so cute. The enormous spider starts moving, and the brothers quickly wrap things up. While spirits are one thing, spiders are just a bit too much. There's nothing more terrifying than what you cannot see. Posted to the oddly terrifying subreddit, this scary video shows a drive along a highway at around 5:30 at night in December of 2021. After a moment, a storm bursts into view via multiple lightning strikes. And then on the horizon, you see it, a black funnel twisting ahead. The tornado appears to be straight on in the direction this car is driving. As the lightning continues to flash, the twister is moving off to the left and growing larger as the car approaches it. Many in the comments are wondering why the car continues to drive toward it. Notice the raindrops on the windshield. They're moving horizontally toward the twister. When this happens, as Redditor Ballpen Dodger notes, you're too close. And when you're facing a tornado like this, that is the last place you'd want to be. It's every urban explorer's worst nightmare. YouTuber Exploring with Danny apparently uncovered 4 bodies while exploring this abandoned place. His dog came across them first.
Diesel! Diesel, what are you doing, boy?
After entering, Danny realizes he's happened upon a grim scene.
Oh my. Hello?
I want to think it's fake, but Danny's reaction seems all too real.
Diesel, come on. Diesel. Come on, Diesel. Come on. We need to the police station.
Here's another strange surveillance tape out of Singapore, this time at an apartment building in Tampines. Most of the orb videos I've seen in the past could be explained away as a piece of dust, but this is clearly something way different. At first, I thought that this was someone playing with a high-powered flashlight, but then I realized two things. You can usually see a ray of light leading back to a person holding the flashlight, but there's no such thing here. Secondly, the orb appears to briefly switch to a gray color when it hits the wall. Watch this part of the video to see the colors change. That's not something an ordinary flashlight would do. If anyone can explain these two things to me, then I'll agree that it's fake. In 2014, a YouTuber was finishing up a hiking trail in Fernie, British Columbia, when an unwanted intruder decided to make him its intended prey.
That is a mountain lion. And he's stalking me.
A wild mountain lion emerges from the tall brush with its head low to the ground, ready to pounce. The man instinctively turns and runs, but then he regains his wits and stops to confront his aggressor.
I am much bigger than you. I'm way bigger than you.
The young mountain lion seems surprised at this bold reaction, but then it quickly blends into its surroundings again and regains the upper hand. Eventually, it's spotted again a few more times as it prowls along the trail close by. The two eventually end up staring at each other from a short distance. As the showdown comes to a tense close, the mountain lion seems unsure and eventually wanders off. It may have lost for now, but in another year or two, I'm sure the animal would have undoubtedly grown into a much larger threat. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Hunting the Haunted, this redditor wrote, "The haunted Frank Lloyd Wright house in Florida. This place has always been active. Check out the full video over on our YouTube channel. Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about."
I just let an orb fly by toward you. What was that?
What was that?
I heard something.
That sounded like it was in the kitchen. That sounded like it was on top of the roof.
Guys, there's something here with us. We are not alone. We can hear you walking.
What was that?
I heard something.
Well, it certainly seems like the spirits that reside in this home are active. I guess it really makes no difference who the architect of a home is in the eyes of a spirit. My theory is the spirits here are trying to scare this paranormal team into never returning again. This creepy Randonautica led YouTuber Jasco Vlogs to Devil's Forest, and he was met with this mysterious call of the wild.
Oh, trying to see if there's any. Bro? What was that?
I don't know what that was, but it sounded afraid. They then find this bizarre shelter.
Alright. Looks like someone built some type of shelter here or something. I don't know. Or maybe it's just...
What is it for? Jasco is right that it's not natural. Shortly after, they feel like they're being followed.
Walking towards us right now. I don't know if it's that same person, but let's get out of here.
While I'm uncertain if they are or not, I do think it's smart to put some distance between them and that mysterious shelter. Better do it just to be safe. Published by Scary Chills G, this short clip was captured in May of 2010. A man is on his computer facing his webcam when behind him on the bed, his jacket moves As he turns to look, suddenly his wardrobe bursts open on the other side. He springs from his seat and goes to check it out, seemingly finding nothing. He turns back toward his computer and then sprints from the room in fear, without further explanation. What did he see there? Or was he afraid of what saw him? This haunting video of a woman in a cemetery is creepy beyond all belief. She thinks she's alone and the cemetery looks as empty as can be, but somewhere a child is heard screaming. She never shows what's going on in front of her, but that's because the screams are clearly coming from behind. She aims the camera down that way and only finds row after row of markers. No one is there, and yet the scary voices prevail. This one has to be paranormal in my opinion. This video is quite short at only 7 seconds in length and leaves us with more questions than answers. Two girls are filming a YouTube video with a large doll toy. If someone could translate this part, it could give us more insight into what the video was supposed to be about.
Bueno, aquí les presentamos a la muñeca de Bessie que se la regalaron a sus 15 años. No manches, mira.
Instead, the toy starts moving all on its own, staring directly at one of the girls. The girl off camera tells her to look at the toy, and when she does, she throws it down in fear. Their reactions both seem very genuine, and if this isn't paranormal, then I have no idea what caused this. Luis Camacho is getting his mail one sunny day when he suddenly stops and looks around. It's hard to describe, but somehow his surroundings feel different and mysterious. He soon locates the source of his bad feeling. After getting onto his hands and knees and peering into the sewer grate, this is what he sees down a long tunnel. A giant alligator looks back at him, its mouth wide open. It lets out a ferocious hiss as a warning sign not to come any closer. The two of them hold eye contact, and then Luis quickly backs away to call the authorities. The alligator was removed shortly thereafter, but Luis will never forget how close he came to having to fight for his survival. It would have been a struggle that he probably would not have won. One more thing, look closely at the tape. And you'll see a small green ball resting by the alligator. I can't help but wonder if, moments before this recording, a small child or dog went to retrieve the ball and saw the same thing that Luis did. This family claims that no matter what kind of baby monitor they have or what frequency they change it to, this haunting melody always finds its way to their child's ears. They even claim that this song has played on baby monitors without the batteries in, though I find that hard to believe. When you see a figure that you can only describe as an orc, then you know that reality has become a Tolkien novel. Published to the paranormal subreddit by Remola Day 2, the uploader purports to have caught real video evidence of just such a capture. The redditor explains that he and his brother are arguing what this thing is that they caught on camera. Due to its size, he doesn't think it's human. He writes, his house is remotely located and the figure is coming from a huge field and not from the road ahead. Also, all the lights on the road and behind the tractor are turned on by sensor, so the ones on the road ahead shouldn't be lit. In the video, the creature appears to waddle past, definitely in an inhuman way. The second video shows the creature's large shadow before it waddles past again. The uploader claims that they've discovered 2 black leaves where the creature was walking, and the woods near which it passed had also begun to turn black, like it's rotting. Some in the comments say that the creature appears to be dragging something, like a deer, suitcase, or large bag. Others say it looks like Sasquatch or Hagrid from Harry Potter. What do you think this is? This rare footage of a sewer monster is brief, but frightening. The video seems to capture a glimpse of something large with a tail launching around the underground. The black and white adds to the creepiness of the footage, when suddenly something the size of a kangaroo moves swiftly past and out of sight. Although not quite as unsettling in movement as a creepy critter might be, whatever this strange being is, it looks completely out of place in the sewage system. Any idea what this strange creature could be? You often capture more than you bargain for on social media streams. Posted in July of 2019, this video shows a man wandering around an apparently abandoned apartment in the darkness. He seems to be praying, as he shoots video of some window-type compartment up in the right-hand corner of one of the rooms. You can see some stranger peeking through. The man continues to pray, and then suddenly screams in fear as he turns to capture something moving more aggressively in a huge box to his right as he races to get out of there. The door slams behind him. Even outside, he is not safe. He continues to pray while filming the exterior of the home. One of the window shutters up above opens and closes several times. Seems like this home needs more than prayer, it needs an exorcism. We all know dogs can see ghosts, and often they're trying to protect us humans from them. Redditor Spectre Specs Dog did that just one morning. Here's the pup in action. The Redditor notes that the dog kept moving back and forth like he was watching something across the room. The Redditor explains in the comments that they lived here for about a year at this point, and the dog hadn't behaved this way either before or after. They also never had a rodent or bug infestation while there. While I can't say this footage should be taken as foolproof evidence that a ghost is adrift, I tend to believe that animals sense things that we don't, so I'd definitely be suspicious after witnessing this. An Urbex YouTuber called RNK All Day is exploring a creepy building that used to be a funeral home before it was abandoned. The funeral home is not haunted per se, at least not from what I can tell, but what they find is every bit as scary as any ghost video you'll ever watch. You see, a long time ago, this North Carolina establishment was shut down because of improper business operations. People were not notified about their loved ones in a timely fashion, and the remains were often not stored properly at all. As RNK All Day explores the abandoned building, he finds evidence of their misdeeds laying out in the open. Sitting in a battered cupboard box on an old altar is a discarded plastic bag full of what appears to be ashes. There's no way to tell if these are the ashes of someone until you look at the box. That definitely says cremation services. If this is what we think it is, which I think it almost definitely is, then they should be properly placed in an urn, not out in the open like this. And if there are more items like this lying around, then maybe this building is haunted after all. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Ding Dong Dingle Dude. This Redditor wrote, "My friend and I saw this weird floating structure in the sky. Has anyone else seen something like this before?" Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about.
What the dude, that's just floating up there in this sky. What the What the fuck? It flashed. Oh my, what? Dude, are you recording?
There was certainly some debate about this video in the comments. Mountain Aviator 1 wrote, "That is the mysterious radio tower. It's obstructed by clouds." Well, the Triple B thinks it's a weather balloon. What do you think this object is? Let me know in the comments. A YouTuber named Fauzi Ki Danaya of Pakistan has caught some creepy things on tape while exploring a haunted building that used to be a school.
ये मेरे लिए एक फायदा है। ये भाई क्या मुसीबत है अंदर।
It doesn't take very long for the scary stuff to begin.
ये मेरे चला खैर इसको। क्या आप जिन हो? ओये अल्लाह 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 अल्लाह। ओये कैसी आवाज़ है यार? ओये अल्लाह।
His ghost meter detects a presence in this room shortly before the paranormal activity ramps up a lot and a window slams shut on its own.
रात में नहीं हुई। इस जगह पे जो भी चीज़ मौजूद है, ये कैमरा भी घूमे जा रहा है, ब्लर क्यों हो रहा है बार बार? क्यों ब्लर हो रहा है ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा मुझे।
A final loud crash sends him running out of the building to see what's making all of the noise. All he finds is a stray cat outside, which he suspects is a shape-shifting jinn because no cat would walk towards all that commotion. I'm not so sure about all that, but I do think it's strange how this classroom is the only place where weird haunted things get caught on camera. Exploring the rest of the haunted school reveals no other paranormal activity, just whatever's by this window. Published in July of 2020, the Urban Ghosts Urban Exploration team took the Randonautica app on a wild ride intended to lead them into places unknown. But somehow, for this team, the random destination was all too familiar. The app wound up taking them to a haunted cemetery that they'd explored 2 years prior. Joe explains that this is a bike park winding back into a cemetery deep into some heavy woods. During their last visit, they'd been scared out of it by what they thought was a bear. At one point, while looking at a grave in the fenced-in cemetery.
These are so old. You can kind of make it out.
Whispering is heard in the background. All of Patty's batteries, which were fully charged, are now completely empty. When they fire up the spirit box, the spirit immediately says the name Joe. When asked if there's something they're supposed to find here, the spirit answers, "Near you." Joe feels like they're being watched. They keep hearing a man's voice coming from all directions. Rob, who's taking still images, also captures strange mists that appear in only some photographs. But the scariest find the team discovers in this haunted cemetery is a jewelry box on the ground. After misplacing it, they speak to the spirits through the spirit box again to see what's become of it. The spirit says Curtis.
It said Kurt. What did the box say again?
Later, they happen upon the carved jewelry box, which has somehow been placed ahead of them on the path, and find the inscription Curtis carved into it. Who is Curtis and what's in the box? These questions are going to keep me up all night. Multiple cameras capture a UFO hovering over Jerusalem in 2011. The small moving ball of light glides over the building tops for a while, and then does a dazzling aerial maneuver that no human aircraft could ever possibly replicate. I would think this is CGI, but the same event was reportedly witnessed by numerous people who don't know each other. In this second video, you can see the ball of light is over the same domed building as the before and abruptly flies straight up. I will admit that the UFO in the first video looks a little different than the UFO in the second video, but I think the first video was recorded with a digital camera and the second was recorded with a cell phone from almost a decade ago, so that would explain the visual discrepancies. Bike Jin goes exploring haunted places in an undisclosed Arabic-speaking country and comes across a house I think I might have seen before in other videos. A house that should stay hidden but always gets explored. I think a lot of paranormal exploration channels come here because so much scary stuff happens almost every time. Weird things caught on camera like this. He waits until the flames die down and takes a few hesitant steps into the haunted bedroom. I don't understand why he turns his light off during the scariest moment, because that's when you would need your flashlight the most. It doesn't seem like a normal reaction, and the only reason I can think of is to let somebody set a controlled flame as part of a prepared stunt, which means this video, however creepy it may be, also has a strong chance of not being paranormal. I'll keep an eye out for other paranormal videos from this location, and if you know the name and country of this abandoned house, please let me know. Any information would be a great help. Published by Mindzoga in April of 2013, the uploader writes, while riding in huge forest, accidentally found a secret base. It is completely deserted in one of the spookiest places I have ever been. The uploader was biking across a dirt road through Lithuania when he came across this base. The video shows derelict buildings on either side of the road, having long been abandoned. It's hard to tell who or what the buildings once housed, but there's plenty of them. Soon the bikers entered a more wooded area, where he decides to go off-road with his bike. He comes across a triangular building built into the ground. There's also a deep hole in the concrete, and a concrete slab set to the side with something, possibly a pipe entering the hole. The biker approaches the dark triangular building. Inside there's only rubble and darkness. He strolls around the area and notes that one of the tree-like hidden underground ventilation chimneys lay on the ground. After driving a bit further, he comes across another of these triangular buildings. Upon closer inspection, the inside of the building is filled with small rooms. In the distance, he hears something that sounds like a bang, which adds to the creepy ambiance of these remains of a facility. He comes across yet another triangular building, where he notices a large ring on the ground, which he believes to be an underground silo cover. This place may have once been the headquarters of a Russian facility, but now it's nothing more than a ghost town of deserted buildings. Which do you think is more eerie? This creepy video takes viewers on an adventure around the world through Google Earth, and what we discover is not of this world. Published by Kanon Mujik, the journey begins with a zoom toward Japan. Landing on the streets of an unknown city, Google Earth pans skyward between two buildings and spies this thing floating above. It looks like a squid or octopus. The dark figure's details are difficult to make out, but it has two thin limbs, a short abdomen, and a football-shaped head. What is this thing? Is it an extraterrestrial? Is it some creepy kite? Or is it the ocean in the sky? A haunted home in Italy that has been the subject of many failed exorcisms has some incredible paranormal activity caught on tape that almost has to be trick photography. Tell me how this was done before I wake up screaming tonight. It almost looks too well done to be computer editing. There's a Redditor who's been posting clips of their encounters with the paranormal to my subreddit for over a year now. They go by Paranormal Gems, and I thought we could watch some of their most popular submissions. There's certainly plenty to choose from. This one is titled, Confederate Ghost Caught on Camera While Hiking on Pilot Mountain, North Carolina.
That's not one. That one's poisonous.
Is it really?
That one.
Oh. There's more than one of them, huh?
Mm-hmm.
This one is titled, Seems our Lego ghost likes playing with my granddaughter's desk. Notice if you slow it down, the orbs fly from and to the Connect image. This one is titled, "The Ghost in Our House is Always Moving My Lego Collection Around." I caught this with my cell phone. Watch under the glass coffee table and under the Ziploc baggie next to the Legos. Something reaches out several times and touched the toys. I'm a little freaked. This one is titled, "My EMF starts going off, so I point my phone in the direction. Happens often." This one is titled, "I came home and my cellar door was wide open. I always keep it closed, so I thought someone was in my cellar, but I was too afraid to go in and look, so I used my camera to try and see into the dark. I slowed the video. That is not a moth you see at first. Keep watching and zoom in." That was just 5 of their most popular submissions. There's still many other paranormal encounters they've posted as well. What do you think is going on here? Are spirits just attaching themselves to paranormal gems? Or do you think there is another explanation here? Let me know in the comments. While exploring this haunted place, YouTuber Rodolfo Augusto and his crew are trying to escape the creature. Let's see if they do. They find a mysterious jar inside the home, but as they're examining it, a bang is heard.
Alguém abre?
Não sei. Porra, cacete.
Quem tá aí?
Eu acho que é o vento, mano. Tá vendo? Ó, olha ali, ó. Ó.
They try to open the jar, but again hear a noise.
Não é vento, não.
Você vai tacar um negócio?
Foi reação.
They push this door open, but are too scared to enter.
Será que tem alguém aqui? Ui. Isso aí não é vento, não.
And yet it won't stop.
É vento.
Que é aquilo, velho?
Que é aquilo ali na porta?
That's when they finally see it.
Eu vi.
That's all I need for my dreams to forever be nightmares. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Hunting the Haunted, this ghost hunter captured something startling after sitting in the Devil's Chair, which is an urban legend that is likely dated back to ancient folklore. It's a statue of a chair or bench found in graveyards. Let's watch his submission.
Wasn't even planning on stopping by until I seen that it was really close to us. So I figured I'd stop and check it out. Yeah, they said that, he sat in this chair.
I can clearly hear a sad moan. Is something in this graveyard upset with his choice to sit in the Devil's Chair? I think he should leave before things escalate. These friends are talking in the kitchen when someone else pulls up a chair to join them. The only problem is, no one's there. When one of them finally notices that the chair is a full 2 or 3 feet away from the table, he's so startled that he doesn't even close the refrigerator. He just wants to get away fast, which is a realistic reaction for sure.
That chair move.
Of course, no one else in the group believes his bizarre story at first, but when they see it for themselves, their scared reaction are as legit as can be. I'll add that the fear and surprise on his face is readily apparent here too.
That chair move. You got crazy? Oh my God!
All of them are trying to come up with a rational explanation, and the best answer they have is that the man in a white shirt is somehow causing it to happen. It's true that the chair only seems to move when he is either approaching it or standing nearby. Just when they are beginning to calm down, a final event seems to confirm their suspicions.
Something's wrong with you, bro. Something's wrong with you.
Let me know what you think is happening here, and if you think this is a prank or the early stages of a spiritual possession. Remember this clip from a year ago when it was trending in the Eastern European YouTube community? Now it's trending in the Spanish-speaking YouTube community. So we're gonna take another look. Appearing on Breakman, the clip is originally from the Singapore channel True Horror Stories POV, filmed in the point of view of someone navigating hallways, elevators, and a stairwell while being stalked. Its first-person perspective continues to give me chills, and the stalker is not of this world. What is this figure? And what does it want from this person? One viewer, YouTuber Abdul Mateen bin Ismail, pointed out a significant piece of symbolism in the clip that I hadn't noticed during the first watch. At timestamp 4:44, the person in the elevator is passing the 4th floor when a figure appears outside the elevator. Watch closely. Did you see it? Well, this thrill ride is a reenactment. According to the original source, it's based on actual events. If this is indeed something someone experienced, I'm surprised they lived to tell the tale. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.